What's going on, home team? What's going on, home team? It's your boy, Arthur. Right back at that ass again. Here's another one. What's going on, man? Just want to touch base with y'all real quick. Yesterday I had made a video about pretty much about the black woman, about the black woman being a new age slave master, and the black community is the new plantation. I basically touched on, women who pretty much don't work or they stay at home, and how those women the black women who don't work, who depend on Section 8 and pretty much are still able to afford their weaves and wigs and straightening combs, and they get Section 8. Even though they're bearing down, they're about to cut out Section 8 soon, but the black women who pretty much benefit off of that, they give them pretty much the food stamps and then the Section 8. The ones who don't work, which is a pretty big number, a lot larger than it should be. I was showing how those women control the poor, impoverished community, because in order to get those benefits, I believe you still have to keep the man outside of the house, So, and even if she does have a boyfriend, she invites him over, it's still her place. So even though he thinks that he may be pimping, she can throw him out at any time. So now that's how the lower black woman controls the poor community. On the flip side, though, the well-to-do black woman, pretty much the ones who are working, or some of the ones who are, middle class or rich or things of that nature, in the workplace, the ones who are successful, they're the white man's pit bull, or whoever owns the company, the Asian man's pit bull. Whoever owns the company, she's their pit bull. If it's the Arab man who owns the company, she'll try to be their pit bull if he allows her. But she has more of a relationship with the Irish or the Italian, on these jobs, man. If they make her, of course, it's easier for black women to get hired on, the pretty good jobs, the jobs where you'll make 40,000 or more. I'll say roughly about, if you make at least about 40,000 or up, the pretty decent jobs. And some of these women, the middle class or the rich black women, a lot of them, the ones who kind of lead the feminist movement, and the ones who usually say the things that I told you about in my last video. A lot of them don't even have kids, and they don't even want kids. And they make excuses for the poor black women. But those black women, they're pretty much the ones who actually own the property. They're the property owners on these jobs, man. They're pretty much the pit bulls, man. What I mean by that is, on average, like I said before, it's easier for a black woman, even if you get a black woman who's educated versus a black man who's educated, they can have the same degree, but the black woman is going to have a better chance, even if she's not as qualified. Because it's certain jobs, man, that I've applied for, like to work at, say, for example, I've applied to work in sales positions at, say, Wells Fargo. Right. You know what I'm saying? I have my master's. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of jobs, if you want to do sales for a bank, a lot of those jobs don't even call for a degree. Some may call for a 4-year degree, but nowadays, it's more about how long you've been in the position or things of that nature. But even the jobs that don't call for a degree, and I figure, if I have at least a BA, I would be, considered. Never really got any responses, or, never really got a call back for jobs like that for Bank of America or Wells Fargo. Never got picked up. However, I've pretty much sold merchandise when I worked for H Gregg and Cons and things of that nature. When I was a sales representative, a lot of the people, a lot of the black females who I sold merchandise to, they were working there, man. Didn't have any degree, horrible credit. One in particular, man. You know, I sold some merchandise to her. She worked at Wells Fargo, and you know, I processed her credit information. Like I made a video before. You can look back at my volume. I have a video called "Black Women Have Horrible Credit," and I know this from experience, man, because I've been processing credit applications for years. You know, I wouldn't say for like 10 plus, but for years. I mean, on and off since 2013. And this one, for example, I was at Cons, man. When I worked at Cons, is that regardless if you sell cars or you sell furniture, you know you're inside sales rep. You still have to process applications because most people, when it comes to major purchases, they're gonna get it through credit. A lot of people are not gonna have, of course, you know, 9 or 10 thousand to drop on a car, or 15,000 to drop on a car, or 4 or 5 thousand to drop on, you know, furniture. But to make a long story short, man, this lady, she I was at Cons trying to sell her some furniture. She was telling me about, you know, and I'm one of the talkers, so it's easy. I'm the type of salesperson who builds rapport with his customers, and you know, I'm more of a extrovert type. So I was talking with her, and found out she worked at Wells Fargo, and you know, she had been there for a few years, her and this other chick, but yeah, she worked there. Typical black female. To the best of my knowledge, or to the best of my memory, even though it was a few years ago, I think she still had the weave, right? So she worked at Wells Fargo, da, da, da. So I sat down, I picked out a furniture set for her, ran her information, ran her credit, man, horrible credit. So we had to go to acceptance now, you know, and anybody who knows anything about credit, if you know about acceptance now, they're like they were a part of a Rent-A-Center, pretty much. They're owned by Rent-A-Center. So it's like if you go to acceptance now, man, it's like your credit is horrible, pretty much. You're not probably even in the 500s, man. You know, it's garbage. You know, and that's usually if you go through acceptance now, you're gonna pretty much have to pay higher interest rates, of course, because you have bad credit. But talk to the chick, man, no degree. Even the last one I talked to when I worked at Con, she worked at um, you know, Wells Fargo as well. You know, and I think her credit was a little bit better than the other chick. But yeah, man, bad credit, no degree, and pretty much you're in there. The same thing with a guy I worked with. He was a fellow sales representative. I used to work with him on the floor. His wife worked at Wells Fargo. And from my understanding, he said she, you know, I wasn't really clear on if she had a degree or not. I didn't think that she did. She seemed like a bit of a ghetto chick, trying to be not as ghetto as some because she would listen to him. So he did have some type of even at 22, man, he was looked at as more of a man by his chick than some of these guys that are twice his age. So I respected that. So she wasn't as bad as some. But my point is, man, it's like you'll have a lot of black chicks that are sitting there in these positions, and they do not have degrees. Pretty good jobs, man, making 40, 50 plus, no degree. Um, and they have, you know, inside sales positions. They're processing mortgages, things of that nature. And don't have degree one, man. Barely finished high school. You know, when a brother like myself, I've been putting in. I think I would be a shoe-in. Plus, with previous experience, but it's not so much about me. But I'm just saying, it's many brothers like me in general with their degrees, man, that can't get into these positions that black women already fill. You know, and I'm not saying they're filling these positions more than white females, of course not. But when it comes to you know, black men and black women, they clearly give um, more job opportunities to black women than black men. So of course, on most jobs they're quicker to make black females supervisors because they are the clowns in the workplace. They're the clowns outside of the workplace as well. So they're comical and things of that nature. They think they're funny, but most of them aren't. Um, but yeah, man. And then when they get these positions, and if they put them in a supervisory position, as long as they're smart with it, where they just use the black man for a whipping stick, and they can keep that position for quite some time. It's only when they step out of bounds and they try to exert their power. If they're a supervisor, if they try to exert their power on any other race besides the black man or any other gender besides the black man, then usually they're gonna get slammed. But if they're smart, if they know how to channel their energies correctly, then they'll be on top, man. And that's not to say that some brothers out here aren't on that same nonsense as well. But on average, black women are a little bit more stuck up with it because they are getting these higher up positions, man, over black men typically. And that's another way to have it so they have all points covered. So now with the black females getting more of the well-paying jobs where you don't have to really exert yourself physically, because mostly the higher paying jobs require more mental, you know, uh, exertion and physical. With them getting these jobs, of course, a lot of times that's going to lead to them being the property owners, and they're going to own the car, the house, and things of that nature. And brothers who think they're trying to pimp, usually they'll have a guy that's staying with them, and of course, they're like the puppeteer because they know at any time, they'll let him think he pimping, but at any time they know they can cut the string and he'll fall. You know what I'm saying? So they control the middle class too. Pretty much, I believe the black middle class for the most part. Now you may have some brothers. You have some men still in the. I guess you'll have more men in the middle class homes than the poor homes because there are pretty much none in the poor homes. But even the black middle class, the brothers who are in the home, they have to play it kind of cool because the black female is going to play that situation where if she makes more than you, she's the man, basically, based on economics. And I do understand that, but I mean they play that harder than other races. I mean a white woman who makes more than her man is not necessarily gonna push her man around. I mean some will, but I've seen white women who were in positions of power where they ran a whole. For example, I worked for a white female principal who hired me, and I ended up not being able to stand her, but she used to still listen to the white male first year teacher who was an eighth grade teacher. She used to still listen to him. Excuse me, even though she was an administrator and her responsibility was the whole school, she was still over him, but she used to still listen to him and respect what he said. Not saying that he would overtake his position, but he still was able to pretty much do whatever the fuck he wanted to do. If he came up with an idea, then he would still do it, and she would never step in his way. But you can't expect that with a black female, because like I said, even when I was a teacher, the black female who was the assistant principal, she was horrible, man. She loved to try to bully me. My kids I used to try to not get into it with her. My kids used to talk shit to her, and I used to step back. I told her one time, I said, I don't trust you. I just told her straight up. She was a typical black female. So, if you have a black female that's a manager and a black male who's an assistant or a black male who's a regular worker, she's going to really come at him real hard. Like, yeah, I'm the boss, da da da, all that type shit. And I guess you can kind of say, that's kind of like a female, or, blacks aren't really used to power and things of that nature. But still, it's something deeper than that. And it goes right back to the home, the same way in the home. And so just like I got this black chick that I used to work with upstairs. She thought that they were molding her into leadership with the she worked upstairs, and they sent me and a lot of other people to downstairs to work, but she was in a managerial position, and she thought that they were going to mold her for leadership, and they sent me downstairs, and she was kind of like, oh yeah, where she thought she was going to stay, and they shipped her ass. Now she down there too, man. They just sent her a month after they sent me, you know. But these black women got to wake up, man, because a lot of times too they end up getting their feelings hurt because sometimes they forget and then they step on the wrong toes. I've seen that too. They step on the white woman's toes and then they're either eliminated, or their position is gone, or So I remember growing up sometimes hearing my mother say that she was gonna sue and do this and do that, act like she could do everything, and then when they fired her, that was it. We didn't even have a lawyer. But my point is, man, is that the black woman is the white man's whipping stick on these jobs when it comes to the black men. That's as far as her power goes. And the smart ones know that, and they try to use that as much as they can. So pretty much, when you look at it in retrospect, it's like another example too. This guy that I was I think I sold him. I worked at Hendrick Acura. I was a salesman there, and I sold him I think he traded in his old MDX for an Acura MDX, those SUVs. And I think his wife came in there. He was a cool brother, but he made like 30,000 a year doing some type of more of a construction type job. And she was a manager someplace, and she made like 200,000. And he was bragging to me about, oh yeah, man, well, I don't got to worry about nothing. My wife, she makes more than me. She takes care of everything, blah, 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 blah. Almost like he was more like a pimp type thing. But then when she came in there and, she wanted to, of course, she had to know about his purchase, and she started coming at me with all these questions. Well, what about this? And what about that? And I was just, learning over at Acura. And I had some of the other guys had to come and explain stuff to her. And while I was trying to explain things to her, and then the white dude pulled me aside. The white guy that I worked with pulled me aside after they left, and he was like, "Yeah, she must be the one. She must be the one who makes more." That's what he said. That's what he said once the black couple left. And I was like, "Yeah," but I knew it went much deeper than that. But when you got a black, and that's the typical middle class type thing they have there, where when you do have a situation where, the black female, in most cases, she has more of the higher up positions. You make 40 and she makes 240. She lets you know that shit. You ain't gonna never live that shit down for most of them. Like a dude told me in an Uber, he said, oh, my girlfriend, she has a BMW. She don't need no nigga. I mean, the dude said this. She don't need no nigga. And I'm like, dude, but she needs somebody, right? She got you, right? And I'm like, this dude sounds like a black female. That's just how they talk. They all claim that they have the money. They don't need no nigga. But anytime they see a black man with another race of woman, they get all pissed off and heated. I don't want them. Well, if you don't want them, why you even got to say shit? Any girl I don't want, I don't say shit. I see a 400-pound girl walking up the street, I don't say I don't want her. Just like I used to walk with a white chick on campus that I was with, banging when I was at U Albany. And I heard one come out and say that, well, I don't want them. Bitch, then why are you talking? I ain't even noticed you until I heard you say that. So it's just like, so in retrospect, all the points are covered. So the poor black woman is going to control everything through Section 8, XYZ, and the upper class and middle class and rich black woman is going to control everything through, getting to higher positions, getting positions that she probably doesn't necessarily deserve, but they're gonna hire her before they hire a black man because they know that they can control her. They can use her for sex. She's a clown. She's gonna wear different hair every day, and they can get pretty much whatever reaction they want out of her, any lighthearted reaction, because she's gonna be so happy to have that position. Especially if you're middle class, lose your job and see how hard a black woman kicks you in your ass. My man gave up his job for college, and she told him he had to get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? At a brand new place. So it's just like it's that type of thing. And it's funny how black feminists, like I was saying before in my previous video, it's funny how black feminists will tell you that a white patriarchy doesn't work, but they are dependent on the white male patriarchy. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not. We all are, but I have sense enough to realize that, patriarchies do work. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell you that patriarchies don't work, but, they'll kill you over getting a job from the white man. They'll try. So even they were showing in one of these Tyler Perry movies where the marriage didn't work because she said that the man was jealous because she was making. You're just jealous because I'm about to make more than you. I had my ex tell me that because she was making 30 a year. Talking about I can get me a guy who makes 100 a year. And then her twin sister was in that same position. And then she ended up getting a Spanish dude who made $90,000 a year. And he banged her and left. I'm like, you just don't get it. It ain't about you make this much and he makes this much. Because chances are, if I make $100,000 a year, these guys who are doctors and things of that nature, your wife don't need to work, man. If I'm making $100,000 a year, I'm living within my means. I only have usually, and if you're a doctor, the guys who usually make $100,000 a year are the guys who either have, some of those guys are the big time doctors and lawyers. If they do have kids, which normally they don't, but if they do have kids, they're probably not going to have any more than 2. So, I mean, she doesn't have to work. He'll probably prefer her to stay home and take care of the kids and just listen and take his, that's it. He making upwards of 6 figures. He don't need you to work. But the black women got all that shit fucked up. He's not going, you couldn't keep a white man. You couldn't keep her. They all want a rich white man. You couldn't keep him anyway because you're not obedient enough. He can't rule the world with you always talking and fighting with him on every little thing. Now you don't need that. He can't. Nobody can. You can't run your community, and you can't get peace at home. There's no way. That's why our shit is all fucked up. In the so-called black community, which is not really a community. It's not a neighborhood. It's a hood, which my generation of rappers used to refer to it as a hood because a hood is no longer a neighborhood or a community. Just a bunch of individuals in poverty trying to survive. Because in real communities or neighborhoods, the drug dealers don't run shit. The drug dealers can't be out in the open like that because they know that the community will shut them down. You don't have to be scared of the gangs in the community because they're going to try to hide and act like they're businessmen because they know that the community won't have that shit. You might not even make it to the prison. Just like back in the days when Bumpy Johnson ran Harlem. Try killing a kid back then in the 30s when he ran Harlem. Kill a kid back then and see what he personally would do to your ass. You know what I'm saying? Not only did they not kill kids, did they not kill women. Women didn't even get involved in most of that shit. But I mean, let's use like Stephanie Sinclair. Then that was an exception, but she was the only woman who was in the numbers game that was really in that, which is I think the numbers was equivalent to what drugs is now, or what drugs was in the 90s. But you only had one female who was pretty much in the underworld. But that shit was controlled. That's why we had more businesses and we had more more businesses, legitimate businesses flourishing because even everything was out of control. And you killed a kid, not just Bumpy, but the whole community would come after your ass. You didn't touch kids. You didn't touch women, but women were those women in the 30s and 40s and 50s are a lot different than these women today. And that was more of a patriarchal, and that's why we had more businesses. But yet this my point is, man, is that pretty much the black woman, and I don't want to go off on tangents, but the black woman is pretty much the white man's pit bull in these jobs, man. They'll be the first to fire a black man. They'll be the first to claim sexual harassment on a black man. They'll be the first to start a rumor about a black man and other women. I mean, it's just no control on, there's no parameters on that shit. She'll run wild, and then when she gets fired, she'll be the first threatening to sue and try to make a big deal out of it. But yeah, so that's pretty much black women in the workplace, wearing it tight, especially in the office, wearing it tight. I've seen so many big black women wearing tight skirts it was just so disgusting. Belly showing, just that nasty. I mean, way more than me. Well over 250 and 300 pounds. And then you're not 5'11", you're 5'4", 5'5", 5'6". It's like, whoa. I see some of them on the buses, they'll take up 2 seats easily. I'm not saying obesity is not a problem in all races, but the black community, god damn, we got some big women. Man, the average black woman is like bigger, your dick is now like about 225 pounds. And these women are getting huge. And those would be the main ones trying to wear tight skirts and shit. It's just like, don't nobody want to see that shit, man. Like they had that picture of that one woman in Walmart, walked up in Walmart with no drawers on. That woman like she was about 400 pounds. And some dudes are horny enough to hit that. Like, black man, you gotta calm it down, man. But I just want to talk about black women in the workplace, man, how scandalous they can be. But it's your boy, the author, man. I see, people making the comments, man. And I'm going to get to them, try to respond to as many as I can. I've been real busy, but make sure to like and subscribe. I might have one more coming for you today about how black women hate their hair. But until later home team. It's your boy. And if you didn't like it, I'm glad.